Politics, pop culture, overexposure. Yeah, I think you know who I'm talking about. It's a scandal waiting to happen. Maybe we can stop it before it starts, but it is one very interesting damn thing to talk about it, and we are doing it today. Hi, everybody. I'm Tom Zenner. Tom Zenner Scandal on YouTube, co-host of the One Degree of Scandalous podcast with the one and only Kato Kaelin.
Oh, good. You remembered my name.
Yeah, I was just doing that for dramatic effect.
I like that. I like that way you said that.
Overexposure. It's a great topic. I'm talking about Travis Kelce. I'm talking about Taylor Swift. I'm talking about the fact that you cannot turn on your TV and not see them. I think a lot of people are sick of it. We're going to discuss how that's damaging their brand. And I also am going to bring up this topic with Kato. Are they really in love? I mean, you may not think this matters, but there's ramifications from this. This is going to be a fascinating conversation because, Kato, nobody in the world, except for maybe 5 or 10 people, were as famous as you at one point in time 30 years ago. That is not hyperbole. That is a fact. It probably hit you like a combination of a tornado, a tsunami, and a hurricane.
Yes, I used to say the joke about myself. I said I'm about as irrelevant as the T in the word tsunami. There we go. So, Tom, I got a piece of hair here, but that's just for you. You know what's funny is that back in the day, I don't know who said this, and by the way, I'm humbled, but when I say this, it's not being cocky. It's like certain people are known by one name: Madonna, Jesus, Elvis, Kato. So I used to think that. Yeah, I was like,
true. I mean, if you know another Kato on this planet, put it in the comment sections, and I want their email address for verification too, because I don't think they exist.
Well, actually, a lot of people name their pets Kato.
Yeah, after
the trust. So it was like pets. So I was like, that's great. Your dog's Kato, your cat's Kato.
Yeah. You know, it's a fascinating topic, Kato, because you were swirled up in that, and you know, NFL football is the biggest TV show. It's not even a sport here in America. This is a TV show. Really, that's how they drive this thing, and that's why it's so big. It's bigger than anything on the planet, and everybody's into it, right? I mean, you follow your teams. We have viewers and listeners all over the world.
Yep.
And they follow their team, but you can be overexposed, and you wonder what the strategy is with Kelce, with Taylor Swift, with the NFL. I mean, do they think we're stupid? Do they think we're not going to get sick of this?
Well, you bring up a great point because I was watching the game with Kansas City, and all the Kansas City games, it just seems like they get all the calls because the NFL knows we got to get this team back in the Super Bowl. They do. It always goes their way. Every time that Mahomes is down in the fourth quarter, is that pass interference changes the outcome, and you start hating the team. It's like, I cannot stand Kansas City.
Yeah, and you don't want to hate him because Patrick Mahomes is so likable. Now, He is everywhere too. He's in more commercials than Travis Kelce, but because he stays out of politics, because he doesn't, thrust his personal beliefs and try to have ulterior motives, he's just funny. He's just fresh. So let's talk about you first, because I think, it's a great starting point. When did you know that you were insanely famous?
I think being invited everywhere of all the people that I met. I knew it was after the preliminary hearings. I knew immediately going in. No one knew who I was coming out. It was just screaming Kato, 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 and then it was someone saying you need a publicist, and it was all these crazy things. And being a guy from Milwaukee, my whole goal was to become famous as an actor with credits. And I went backwards. Everything was backwards, and I know that. But as far as being famous, I knew it was just worldwide. I was invited to everything. I had a lawyer at the time, an entertainment lawyer. He would say, you could walk into a room and, once again, I'm telling you, I'm
but
not
these
saying
are facts. These
are
facts.
He goes,
right.
You could walk into a lunch at Paramount at one point in your life, and no one would care that Tom Cruise is there. They'd want to meet you, and so it was like that. Everybody wanted to meet, and I don't think anybody knew that I had a sense of humor, and that was like the big thing for me. I had a sense of humor about everything, and I like I said, I was kind of in on the joke, and when everything from Letterman, Leno, I was the opening monologue constantly, and made fun of, but I realized, because of being raised in Wisconsin, I realized that everything in media wants to bring you up because they can't wait to see you come crashing down. It's like they set it up. They bring you all the way up, and they destroy you, and they pull the pedestal, and you fall. And I see that right now Taylor Swift's famous. You can't beat that. Travis Kelce famous, but it's getting to the point, what you just said, overexposure, it will kill you. And the saying goes on, always leave them wanting more. They're not following that rule, show business. And I'm even sick of the soup commercials and his brother. It's the Kelce family, even the mother. They're all in commercials, and you kind of go, okay, enough's enough. Yeah. So they have to know when enough is enough for them, and I don't think they do. And I noticed, Tom, that even with the Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, they showed pictures on Twitter X of his fashion statements and how it's just changed when he's with Taylor Swift wearing the Gucci, the bucket hats and everything. And it's just, I'm pretty sure he was a blue collar guy, and now he's changed an image, and now he's becoming kind of metro.
Yeah. Right. You know what? This is nothing personal against Travis Kelce for me, so I want to get that right off the top. I'm a fan of his. I think he's a great player. He's a Hall of Fame player, and he's got an entertaining personality, and he's cool. Right. But I think this is a runaway freight train with him. I thought the initial exposure and the fun with Taylor, did he really think she was going to fall in love with him? Because I believe she's madly in love with him. And I think he's going back, wow, how does this end? How do I write the last chapter of this? What if this doesn't work out? What do I do? So there's a lot of great things we're going to talk about today. How do you capitalize on that? Can you go too far? Can a brand suffer because a celebrity or somebody famous is overexposed? We're going to talk about all this stuff. Kato, like I worked in TV. Right. And in Chicago, you're a big deal if you're on TV in the 90s, following the Bulls every day, doing a show with Dennis Rodman. There's a level of fame that goes with that. It's cool, right? It's fun. Sports fans, Boston, the same thing. But it has nothing compared to what you went through. So did you have to navigate these waters all by yourself? I mean, I know you talked about getting a publicist or a manager because you want to monetize these things if you can. But did you have to figure it out on the fly?
I pretty much did. I didn't know. I always turned down certain things that could have made me a lot of money, and in hindsight, I go, God, I guess I was a fool. Everybody capitalized, but I don't think I did. I'm not a multi-gazillionaire. I wish I was, but I'm not. But I had the same goal the whole time: get into acting. Everything's going to be the acting. And then I noticed a lot of the lawyers got their SAG card. They got TV shows. It was just so different. But my direction was with a guy named Lee Salters, who had Frank Sinatra, Michael Jackson. So I thought that's a good lead. And
sure,
you pay them. I'm not getting paid from them. And most of the time, if I got invited to things, I didn't even know about getting the money. I would just show up as far as, wait a minute, I should have been getting paid. I think it was a bad job on that part of me going to certain things, from many Kentucky Derbies, many Indy 500s and all that to be seen. Mm-hmm. And I had an absolute ball. Obviously tickets are paid for, hotels. But I guess in hindsight, I probably did things wrong.
Yeah, but you can't look in the rearview mirror like that because it was all happening in real time. Yeah. So there was no way for you to figure out. There's no handbook. There's no book for dummies, on how to handle this. And you don't know the ulterior motives of the people that were representing you, because maybe they were thinking 3 steps ahead for themselves or another client, or maybe you were used on some levels if you think about it. So it has nothing to do with you. I wish I was around back then. The version of me, I would have been there for you. He's getting paid this. Check, let's go. So it's crazy. So the pre-trial, right? The preliminary hearing. I mean, there's some that comes out of that. So then it registers. Did you ever have to fight it internally, thinking, I came here to be an actor. I was this close. And who knows, maybe I got that role on Dumb and Dumber. I mean, you may have, right? Did you have to almost say to yourself, subconsciously, I'm going to peel back a little on this because I still want to be an actor? Or did that thing just get rolling downhill and you just had to hold on for dear life?
No, I think so. I had an agent at the time, so I just wanted legitimate things to go on. I was getting a lot of murder mysteries. I was getting things to go to a WWE event. I was doing things I don't know if I want to do that. I didn't do a lot of that, but I did have a lot of meetings with casting people, and I knew at a certain point it was out of curiosity. And I was this caricature. No one's going to touch me. I'm way too hot. Hot meaning not in a good way, like hot. No,
radioactive, basically, yeah.
But then I did the show called The Watcher. It was a new pilot with Sir Mix-a-Lot was the intro. It's like Rod Serling. And I got a great review in People magazine. And I started going, okay, it's kind of happening. And it never had that thing where I was the lead in it. And then I did a national campaign for Trivial Pursuit, which was fantastic. And I kept thinking, okay, it's kind of going on. It was always to the point and not. And then our dear friend, Akima Nastapoulou, who had a TV show called Eye for an Eye, which is nationally syndicated all over the world, where I became the host. And that was kind of the legitimate thing. And I knew things were different when people in the airports instead of saying, hey, did OJ do it? That kind of thing. It was, loved you, an eye for an eye. And I knew at that point, okay, because I was on everywhere in the world. I was on an hour block in LA, 2 hours actually, a day, Monday through Friday on this Eye for an Eye, and I was the host, and I could show a little sense of humor. And so that made things a little bit better. Yeah. As far as overexposure, I knew when I was invited to all the best parties and all that, I knew at some point people were sick of seeing me, so I laid low. I could feel it, like it was like, oh, Kato's here. And then when you're at the 9th time, it's like, oh, Kato's here.
Yeah.
So it completely changes. I didn't change. It was just the way the atmosphere of what was going on. Yeah. So I knew, all right.
By the way, we're 10 minutes into this, and he hasn't mentioned the Playboy Mansion once. But that's okay. That's okay.
I was invited though. I included it as all the parties to go to. Yeah, that was I consider myself being a hef on a short list of going to not just as parties but also as movie nights.
I bet it was fascinating, and you learned a lot about humans in general. Like you learned what celebrities were like when they were around you. Were they jealous? I bet at some points when you sucked up some of the oxygen in a room, some of these A-listers were a little pissed off. Plus, you almost have to, like. Luckily, you grew up in the Midwest where, you maybe a little bit more grounded, so you could see if there's ulterior motives with other people. But what did you take away about human nature from this?
I'll tell you, the thing is, a celebrity or a regular person, I can completely read when you walk into a room of who doesn't like you for not even knowing you. I could just say, all right, this person to stay away from. They give that little look, or they do the shrug, or they turn their back on you. You know immediately, it's like, okay, they judged me from some TV show, from the trial. They have their set opinion, so I wouldn't bother with hanging out or talking to them. But when I was talking to other people, their celebrities, they would be laughing and all that, and I could see the change. I think it wasn't my job to change a person's opinion of me, but it just happened naturally, where someone would go, God, I misjudge you. You're an okay guy. It happens a lot.
But that was a microcosm of society in general, because people tended to misjudge you early on.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why this podcast is so great, because people see who the real Kato Kaelin is.
Yeah, it's funny. There's an A-list actress, and I just remember I really liked her work. I thought she was terrific. Her name.
It's good content.
Okay, I was at the whiskey bar, which was Randy Gerber,
Cindy Crawford.
Not that people get the whiskey a go-go. No, it's different. Whiskey at the Sunset Marquee, and Charlize Theron was there, and at that time she was dating the lead singer of I think it was a group called Third Eye Blind. I know them, but I don't know the main. It was the main. It was the band. Was it? And he was really nice, and the guy in his band was really nice to me, and. I could feel her, she couldn't stand me. So, I
don't take that personally. I don't like her. I don't like Charlize Theron.
I don't know, and I have nothing against. But I think in hindsight, I read a story where, like in our podcast, I don't have it in front of me. We don't do the fact check immediately. But I think her parents were murdered, or someone in her family was murdered.
Okay. Well, that's unfortunate. But, politically, you're not going to align with her. She's a little radical. Like now, I don't think.
Oh, I think so. Now, I like I said, we'll fact check later and see if it gets on. But I'm pretty sure I'm right. Someone in the family was murdered. Yeah. But and by the way, I have no judgment on her at all.
Yeah. And, okay. Well, that's how Kato lives his life. No judgment. Hey, by the way, put in the comments the first time you saw Kato Kaelin in mainstream, and what Kato Kaelin and what your first impressions were, and just how much you love him on this podcast.
Real quickly, also want to point out that. At college, Wisconsin Eau Claire, I did a radio show and a TV show, Kato and Friends, and then I was on their main radio morning drive, and so I loved radio. And then I got the job at KLSX, which I followed Howard Stern, who hated me at first, and after doing his show a few times, he invited me to dinner, invited me to his premiere of Private Parts at that time, very popular in the 90s. So it was complete change. He and Robin have seen someone in person, and so I love doing radio. It's like doing this with you, the podcast. It's like. I was the fastest 2 hours in radio. I consider this the same because we have such good energy.
Well, it's a perfect format for you, where you can just riff on any topic, and then your personality comes out, and you're funny, you're quick-witted. It's a perfect recipe for this type of format. That's why I always knew the podcast for you was going to be huge. I want to ask you later, so you can think about it, maybe the craziest moments you ever experienced because of this fame cyclone that you were swept up in. You don't have to answer it now, but what if you were Brian Kaelin, which is your real name?
Yeah.
Would all of this have happened to this degree?
I don't think so. I think it was catchy with Kato Kaelin. It kind of just rolls off your tongue, Kato, and it's very easy to remember. And it was also the middle name, and so Brian Kato Kaelin, but Brian, swearing in at the trial as Kato Kaelin. I think it made a huge difference. And this is all hindsight. I wasn't thinking about
marketing
my name, like what's going on, and but it was definitely because of that name. I think people. Easy to remember.
Yeah, no question. Okay, so let's talk about Kelce for a second, because this is front and center in pop culture. I think it's a scandal waiting to happen. Here's what it reminds me of. And you mentioned Jason Kelce, his brother. Yeah. And these guys are just gravy training off this, which is fine. I don't begrudge people opportunities. But I think you have to have enough self-awareness where you go, am I really that entertaining? Does everybody in the country really give a damn? Most people don't know who I am. They know who my brother is. You would think that there's some mechanism internally that clicks in and you say, let me peel back a little bit. Here's what it reminds me of. Last call at a bar. You're going to order 2 drinks instead of that last one. Yeah. You're at the Marriott buffet. You got a meeting. Breakfast. You're not going to eat again until 4. You're going to take a few extra slices of bacon, maybe another piece of French toast. You're going to load up on it because you feel it's your last shot at this.
Right.
It's Prime Day, right? Oh, I'm going to buy that, battery operated toothbrush, right? And 15 things of deodorant because it's cheap, because I can't do it. That's how I feel these guys are approaching it. Grab. And I will personally, I'll probably go out of my way not to support the brands that Jason Kelce represents now, because I think it's a money grab.
Right.
And I don't think there's any matching of his brand to their brand. I think it's just take. Interested in what our viewers think and our listeners, but I've gotten to that point when he was on Monday Night Football last night, it just triggered me. Yeah. I'm going, you are a regional athlete in Philly. I don't give a damn. Why? Don't take words away from Troy Aikman.
Well, I'm going to agree and disagree with you. Exactly my point. When he was in the booth with Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, they were at fault also, because even during commercials, they said, stay longer. I think it's because they knew ratings and people love this guy. I don't know if they have the actual rating book in front of them. They kept saying, stay in the booth. And I felt like this, Tom. I felt like he was preparing to be the next NFL in a booth somewhere. Like he was showing, I know my X's and O's. Right? It was an audition completely. Yeah. I felt that way.
Well, and they're telling him in his ear, keep him longer. The producers are telling him that. I guarantee you Joe Buck does not want him in the booth any longer. The producer's saying, keep him longer through the break, bring him back. Yeah. I guarantee you. Yeah. Right. Because they're a 2-man team, right? You don't mess that up. It's funny because Travis Kelce, he had that dating show on E that was in 2016. It only lasted a few episodes. The first episode had 257 viewers, so it was 257,000 viewers, so it was a flop. And basically we've had a dozen.
I didn't even know he had a dating show.
We've had a dozen podcast episodes that do more than that, right? So that show didn't work. But I remember watching him on that, and my wife Shonda, she liked him, right? She thought he was cool, so did I. But he was more humble back then. And now this whole phenomenon with Taylor Swift, where it's just, and now she's forced him to almost take a political stance. No matter what he believes or not, he's attached to her. And she's so polarizing because of the announcement she made after the debate. I mean, there's so much to think about. And I think he's personally going to screw up their chance to win 3 Super Bowls in a row.
I love you bringing up these points, because there's stuff that just bugs me so much. And this is, once again, my opinion. As soon as I saw him getting a commercial endorsement for Pfizer, I can't stand him. I just can't. He's telling people to do something and there's nothing proven with this vaccine. Made me sick to my stomach. I already didn't like John Legend. Now I can't stand John Legend at all. I never thought he was talented. Me, personally. I'm just telling you, these are my things. Yeah. But when Kelce did that, and then Kelce, I just think I can see it in my head with fame. It's very fleeting. I mean, he's got this career, it'll be Hall of Fame. It'll never really be fleeting for him, but these are mistakes. Me, personally, I think they're making. Yeah. But when they got the money already, they got the $100 million deal for a podcast.
Yeah, on One Degree.
They've got no problems at all. It's not going to be an issue for them. So they can kind of go, screw you if you don't like me. Who cares? I'm still going to drive my Mercedes, my Maybach, whatever it is. They don't care. But it's it's a tough thing when people, you could see they're sick of you. You can feel it. It's not a good feeling.
Yeah, there was a story in the New York Times at the beginning part of this year, right before the Super Bowl. It focused on his managers. So he has these twin brothers that are managers, and they were saying they were making a conscious effort to steer him away from brands that only football fans would resonate to and try to get alternative marketing deals. So that's why the Pfizers and some of these other ones. But again, you make these decisions, it just polarizes people. He's been in more commercials than anyone in the world. Yeah. This stat was relevant within the last year. More commercials than anyone else in the world. And I think he's pretty good. I think he's good in the State Farm ads, but now they have this cereal ad where it's like Cocoa Krispies and Fruity Loops and Count Chocula mixed up into one. It's called the Kelce Sugar High. I don't know what it is.
It's sort of the Sam Jackson, the old joke. Sam Jackson, Samuel L. Jackson used to be in every movie, and people got sick of him. And I think it's I forget what comedian just say. It's like Sam Jackson's everything. I was at a wedding yesterday. He's in my video at the wedding, but it's oversaturation.
Yeah,
it's really that Hollywood thing. Always leave them wanting more, and they're not. They're just going on more and more and more. But I think it's just obviously money motivated.
Sure.
Because you can screw you to anybody, and they're the kind of guys that have each other. I mean, even their mom's saturated. And we were just talking here. Can you imagine what it's like in Kansas City? And what do you think? Your opinion of there's got to be something going on in the locker room between Kelce and Mahomes, with Brittany endorsing Trump, Taylor Swift, Kamala Harris, and they're not in the same. They're not in the same suite anymore, and Patrick Mahomes plays it very cool, very smart. But I think you can kind of tell where he leans because he's not going to go against his wife. So, what do you think? Do you think there's something going on inside the locker room where they're like, "Hey, your wife is pissing off Taylor, or Taylor's pissed"? What do you think?
I think 100%, if not now, yes, eventually, because the election's 2 months away.
Yeah.
So this is only going to heat up. Number two, Mahomes is obsessed with catching Tom Brady. And I work with Tom Brady, so I have great perspective on this. I don't think anybody's ever going to catch Tom Brady's 7 Super Bowls. I don't think it's going to happen. But if anyone could do it, it's him. And he wants it desperately. Plus, no team has ever won 3 Super Bowls in a row. It's never happened with all these great dynasties that we've had in the NFL. He is so laser focused on getting that 3rd Super Bowl. And I do believe that there will be a riff of some sort. Okay, look, last week, they played on Thursday night to begin the season. Then he goes off to New York City to have dinner with Taylor Swift, right? Why? Why do you have to show the world that we're out to dinner? Wouldn't you crave a little privacy?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be the night to stay in? So he's getting his marching orders from somewhere else. I think it's going to affect the team because he is a very, very important part of that team. They don't win that Super Bowl last year without him. And they're not going to win it this year without him. They need him making those catches. So, why are these... I don't know, man. These guys have trained their whole life to get to where they're at. And now this political side taking that Britney's doing and Taylor Swift, it could literally Yoko Ono-size the Kansas City Chiefs.
Both games that, by the way, they won were in the 4th quarter within a minute. And like I said, it's sickening that I feel like the refs are on the side, and I think it's football is entertainment, and the refs are, if they're paid off, I don't know, but they do make calls that are just they do make calls in their face. It's so blatantly obvious that I was just going to throw the remote going, okay, they give this guy every break in the world. And by the way, I also think that their kicker, Harrison Butker, is that his name, Butker, right? I think, I like him. I think there's even there's something going on in Kansas City with picking sides of who's on the left and the right.
Yeah.
And it's just, there's so much in the news now, it can only break a team apart.
Well, it makes me literally sick because when the one thing that holds this country together right now is sports, right?
Yeah.
It's a diversion for everybody from this nonsense political crap we can't escape that's bombarding us 24/7. We all have friends that we hang out with that maybe think differently than we do, okay? That's just life. That's the way it is. But the polarization of everything that's going on, when you watch a college football game and you see the excitement, do you think they give a damn who they're high-fiving, who they're sitting next to in the stands? No, it draws everybody together. And the fact that politics and the NFL, if they're using Taylor Swift, which they are, I mean, they're using Taylor Swift.
Camera shots, yeah.
Right? It's just, I don't like being messed with like that. And why can't we keep one thing pure, which is sports?
Where
would we be without sports in this country?
I like disagreeing with you, but I have to agree with you on that. And I also think, endorsements will kill certain people, not just athletes, but also with musicians. Taylor Swift. There's endorsements with Billie Eilish and everybody. And I'll tell you, who singer Pharrell?
Of course,
he came out with the best thing. I think that he's just came out in the news yesterday. Last night, he said to all celebrities, shut up.
Did he really? Pharrell said that?
Pharrell just says, shut up to everybody. He goes, no one gives a damn. Do what you do in music and shut up about politics. And I was like, whoa, I respect that this guy just told all these musicians, actors to shut up.
Love it. Well done, Pharrell. Seriously, you know what else he does? He's the lead designer for Louis Vuitton now. That's kind of his main gig. So he's off in Paris. But yeah, the guy's a superstar too. So yeah, I'm glad one person has the guts to do it, because it takes guts to do it in Hollywood, right? Because man, you got no shot out here if you're not following a certain company line. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, and then Taylor Swift, didn't she say that she forgave Brittany Mahomes? No, she forgave Harrison Butker, the kicker, for the commencement speech he made, which was just his personal feelings. He wasn't like ripping women or anything. He was just talking about different values that, women maybe in the Midwest have, maybe different generations have, which is nothing wrong with that. It's what built America.
Well, what do you think of the 160 million she's lost in sales already, Taylor Swift? Now, do you think it's going to go higher? I think it's going to go much higher, but I think teenage girls are more, I don't know Taylor Swift at all, but teenage girls, they're not going to vote, or I don't know how much sway she has, probably a lot. But, I guess the songs, If You Really Love Me, You Would Have Married Someone Else. That's one of my favorites. Or the other Taylor Swift song, Maybe I'm the Fucking Problem. But listen, Tom, I think these are her hits, and all the toilet paper in the world cannot wipe away the memories of you. Tom, these are the hits that I'm talking about, Taylor Swift. I don't know a song, but I'm out of it. I'm alternative music. I am so.
Yeah, I don't think you're in Taylor's main demo right now. Now, me on the other hand, I've dropped my daughter off at 2 concerts. My wife got tickets for my daughter by being on hold with Capital One all day.
And what did your daughter? Would your daughter? Did she go? Whatever Taylor says,
Hell no.
See, I think that's a strength that people don't realize. People still have to make up their own mind. I don't know. Your daughter's obviously very strong, and she's opinionated, and she can go, I can see a concert and I can still have my own views.
Well, that's how the world should be. You divide it. I enjoy you for the entertainment value that you bring.
Do you think that's what's going on now, though?
Well, I think a lot of people that she sways are young. I don't think they're a voting age. I think her wheelhouse is still younger, maybe 13, 14, 15. Now, of course, the Swifties get older, they're in their 20s, but I mean, you show me one person who at this point right now doesn't know who they're going to vote for. Are you kidding me? I've been thinking about this for 8 years, since 2016. I've got evidence on both sides. What does Taylor Swift think I should do?
Right.
I mean, they take themselves so damn seriously. Do you?
And then Billie Eilish, who I don't know her music, but I know she's been Saturday Night Live hosted. She endorses today. Do you think? And her group has got to be even younger than Taylor Swift's. It's like,
well, here's the other thing.
I love that Pharrell it really resonates with me. He says, "Shut up."
Yeah.
It's just shut up. Do your thing. No, don't get into politics.
Well, the other thing too, what is this breaking news? A major celebrity is endorsing Kamala Harris? Shocking. Really?
Right.
I mean, come on. Now, there's probably pressure on them from campaigns, right? Step up.
Yeah.
You've got this power. You got to go do it. They're in a weird situation, but man, I love what Pharrell said. That's awesome. And again, like all you have to do is just turn on TV and watch sports. It's pure joy. No one gives a damn what anybody else thinks politically. You love your team. You love your country. Seems to be good enough. Seems to work. The only thing that works on TV right now is live sports, by the way.
Right. And by the way, Trump will be at the Georgia-Alabama game, and you're going to see a reaction, though, when you said, but there is a definite reaction. He's more relatable to sports than Harris.
Yeah.
He's just, it's sort of like, he knows sports, obviously.
Question, throw it in our comments. Would you be swayed by what a celebrity said when it comes to the polling? As far as who you should vote for, are you going to listen to a celebrity? And if yes, who's that celebrity you're actually listening to?
Right.
Right? Yeah. But do I think that it could cause a rift in the locker room? Absolutely, man. Because when you're on a football team, I played football at a high level, man, it's a brotherhood. And when you have one common goal, and then you have somebody on the outside with ulterior motives who's messing with what the master plan is, you take that personally. What about the other 50 guys on the team? Right. This is their livelihood, right? I mean, this is career making if they have a successful season or not, or if a player's not prepared and somebody gets injured. There's a lot working here, and we just need to tone it down. Taylor Swift, stop. We know you're in love with Travis Kelce, but Kato, here's the question I have, and I want everybody's opinion on this. Does Travis Kelce love her? I don't think so. I mean, I do. I think he loves her, but do I think he's in this for the long, long haul? I don't think so. I think there's a part buried in the back of his mind. What is my exit strategy? And how do I survive if I ever want to end this relationship?
Well, would he love her if she wasn't Taylor Swift? If she was Taylor Swift but not the musician, that's another way to look at it. But she's not. He's got to go with how much excitement is with her. I think the excitement for him makes him fall in love with that. I think going all over the world, people going crazy for you, it's addicting. So he's in love with that for sure. Is he love her? it's a tough thing because are they ever really alone? I don't know. I mean, they've got probably their moments, but how often do they have those moments? Let me ask you, Tom, you heard about this contract a while ago that came out that there was going to be a breakup. Are you familiar with that? There was a contract that was out in the news.
It's almost like a prenuptial for the relationship.
It was released that someone, and I guess his lawyers are fighting it, said they picked a breakup date, that a date was picked for their breakup, and he's denying it completely in his camp. So I thought you might have heard about this.
Okay, I'll look into it. So you're basically saying this whole thing is scripted.
Exactly.
To the point.
That's what the point. And this is just what I allegedly. There's all these things that are going on that his law team is fighting it. That there's no such thing as a contract. And by the way, I think if I remember, it was September 28th was the breakup date. No, I'm not making this up. There was a whole thing, and now it's been. They're trying to say it's made up. There's no such thing, but who makes up that? I mean, sometimes like back in the day when National Enquirer had a fake story, some of it had truth, and I just wonder what if there's any truth to that. Where I obviously we find out more and more, and if the Chiefs don't make it in the Super Bowl and lose in the playoffs, they don't even make the playoffs, does that hurt the relationship too? Which I think it does completely.
Wow, think about that. If they don't make it to the playoffs, where she can't be front and center on those NBC and CBS and Fox cameras every single week, maybe he has less value to her. Right?
Yeah.
Because she didn't know anything
That's
about
exactly
football before this.
Right.
The thing I'd be interested in is if the breakup date is set for September 28th, what is the reason? Because they've thought through everything. So they have to have a prepared reason for this. Maybe mutual timing. Who knows?
And by the way, this is just something I saw, and it was on the X. I get my news from X mostly because it's been proven that it's the most accurate, and there's the community notes. So a lot of the news on X, Elon Musk, is pretty much on the money. So after this, you can kind of research the back pages of those things.
Well, September 28th is coming up.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I that rings out of my head. It was the 28th. Yeah. I don't know if that's a Sunday or not, if there's a game.
But are you sure it's this year?
Yeah, it was this year.
Yeah.
Everything was for this year.
Yeah. All right. So here's another thing I'm interested in everybody's comments. If you had this sudden fame thrust at you, if you had these opportunities, would you take every one? Would you say, let me just stack it, man. Let me just take care of a couple generations here. And why not? If I end up looking like a fool and people are sick of me, who cares?
But how much can you take too, right? I mean, $100 million deal, all the endorsements. When is enough? Do you ever say, I've got enough money? I mean, I'm pretty much, I think that way. It's like, okay, I can't, you know what? I took care of these people. I took care of this family member. Okay, I'm fine. I can kind of live it. But if it's something that I really believe in and I'm getting paid for God, yes, sign me up.
Write it out. Yeah, there's nothing I find more distasteful and despising than greed. I hate greed. I just can't stand seeing greed in people. We all see it all the time. I think with Jason Kelce, the brother of Travis, I think it's got to register where he says, am I really that entertaining? I mean, am I that
I was
funny?
A center. I hiked the ball. And now I'm the most famous guy and have fans going crazy for me. Well, because you start believing it.
Well, he was authentic before. I remember because I used to, write books on Super Bowl championship teams. I've done over 40 books, World Series, Super Bowl, NBA, NHL. So whenever a team won the championship, I'd have a book in stores the day of the parade. So you write two books at the same time,
all the money, make the
and
money
then you finish it, and then the one book that you just did doesn't even, it's all wasted time. So when the Eagles won the Super Bowl in 2017, it was the 2018 Super Bowl. He was hilarious at the parade. Right. He had that goofy outfit, but he was authentic. And Americans and consumers buy authenticity. They smell out phoniness so fast, and people that are just trying to hitch their wagon to something and gravy train off somebody else's success. And that's where I'm at with them. They try to compare Jason Kelce to Charles Barkley. And I'm personally offended by that comparison. I've known Charles for over 30 years. When he was playing for the Phoenix Suns in the early 90s, I was the sports anchor at ABC.
Yeah.
Every day, Kato, I would time my day to go to the locker room when the Suns practice was over just to watch him and listen to him, because he would take the whiteboard and it was a 15-minute stand-up comedy routine. You'd think you were at, Pauly Shore's mom's, the Comedy Store on Sunset. I mean, he is that funny. Charles Barkley's one of one. Don't try to compare somebody else to him. Jason Kelce is not Charles Barkley, right? And I think people are starting to see this. And man, the other thing I don't like is when people don't have self-awareness to think, man, is this resonating? I know my wife thinks I'm funny. I know my mom thinks, who travels with 2 bodyguards to games now, thinks I'm really a yuckster.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. It's just too much.
It's a great point again. It's because you believe what you hear from all the people that are saying you're great, you're great, you're great. They're all on this thing and making you. It's like their publicists, the people around your publicists. Oh, great! Oh, you wore blue. It's great for your eyes. And they keep saying things that build your ego. Yeah. But it's dangerous because, like I said, when you're on the pedestal, the people fall off, and it will happen. I don't know when, but it'll happen. But the backup they have is money. They got money, and the Kelce brothers are always probably love each other. They always have each other. But I think it's you got to tone it down.
If I'm Travis Kelce, I'm thinking I got this $100 million deal with One Degree, right? The podcast company for Amazon. $100 million, him and his brother. It's pretty good. I mean, it's all right. You know, it's obviously because they're as big as they are.
And by the way, this deal happened this year, correct? How many have they done shows? And
I think this is their third or fourth year of doing the podcast.
Oh, so they've
done it for a little while.
So now the deal came. They've already done many shows. Then their deal came.
Yeah, because it was a decent podcast, even before Taylor. But it was
good as ours,
huh?
As good as ours.
Are you kidding? Not even close. Please, why'd you even ask that question?
Call Amazon.
But back when they were doing it initially, it was good because they have this fun brotherly dynamic.
Yeah.
They are entertaining. When you take away some of these layers that we've just been discussing for the last 25 minutes. But now with that, just think how simple his life would be. I do a podcast once a week, play for the Chiefs, enjoy a day off every now and then. But he has none of that. I guarantee you, Taylor's team is running him.
You're right. If there is no day off. It's something goes on 24/7 with him, and it's like he's got the practice on. But you're right. He's got to always do that. He's got to talk to Taylor. What's going on, honey? If they're in love, like I think you kind of. Even though you're playing football, you kind of make her number one. If he is, I don't know, but it's kind of like she's calling him. Every call he takes of hers, even in a team meeting, maybe, who knows?
I mean, no offense against Taylor. I have mad respect for her accomplishments and her talent. She's unbelievable. Country music, pop, she conquered it all. She's amazing.
Yeah.
Right? It's almost like she's an AI, creation. She's that big and powerful. But man, everything in her life is structured, and it's been that way since she was probably 13 or 14. Right? When you have that one singular vision of being a superstar, which is and she had the talent to do it. She did it legitimately. She wasn't created in a laboratory, right? Or in a music recording studio. I mean, she's got the chops, but she doesn't think like normal people. So she doesn't rationalize things the same way. She doesn't make decisions the same way. And you know what else you have then? You have so many sycophants that are dependent on you, right? There are so many people whose livelihood depends on her, from ticket sales to merchandise to appearances to her political stances and whatnot. You got to keep the engine going. You got to feed the beast.
Right.
And I think deep down, Travis Kelce is a cool dude. He wants to be normal maybe on some levels too. And this can just sweep you up. Here's a question I have. Say on September 28th or 29th, they do break up. They follow the script. I must break up with Travis Kelce now.
Or Travis breaks up with her.
Yeah, or whoever has to be the fall guy or gal, but it's probably going to be Travis. He's going to take the fall. Do the brands run? Do the commercials dry up? Or does he just have to maybe lay low for a little while and try to just reinvent himself in a different way?
That's a good question. I would think, I think a company would, if there's a breakup, I think a company always got a plan of how they can use that as their, in a funny commercial of
Tinder.
Or no, something even like a Charles Schwab. Oh boy, I invested with Swift.com, but didn't win there. But
hey, the market dipped. You can rally.
Yeah, but now I'm with Schwab. Something creative. Yeah. If it does happen, he'll always be in. And plus, if the Chiefs make it anywhere, it won't matter because he'll always have that football audience, which is billions of people, and it's going. Roger Goodell's trying to get in Brazil everywhere now. It's going worldwide, so it just gets bigger and bigger for all these people.
All right, let's come back talking about your life. What was the height of it, right? If the trial's in 95, was there a dip 2-3 years later, or did it just ride that wave?
Completely, I could feel a dip. And when I had the show, Eye for an Eye, it was like it was such a relief to do something that it wasn't everything was trial. I would travel, and it would 1,000 times I would hear, did OJ do it? There's, constantly. So when that changed, it was great. But there was a dip from the trial stuff. So I loved it that I lost popularity and I wanted to be popular for something else. The latter rings of Kato up here from the trial. And then it was like, okay, can I move that eye for an eye up on top? Probably not.
Yeah. Well, plus,
but other stuff would always happen. But when I got invited to the A-list parties, when that started falling, I knew it was like, okay, it's over. Accepted completely. Plus, I didn't care so much about the A-list going out to certain things, an Oscar party or whatever.
Yeah.
It was like...
Yeah, because it's not just pure fun. I mean, all eyes are on you. You got to be on.
But it was people I would not hang out with anyways.
Yeah.
And certain actors that I met that were super cool, then I would go, okay, this is a friend probably for life. And they kind of know that.
How about traveling now? Because you're in the airports a lot.
Yeah. I would say in the airport and on the flight, I would say it's 1 out of 4 will come up and say hi to me that know who I am.
Right.
And,
even walking, I'm going to imagine walking through the airport. When
I did something with my wife's young age. We had to go through, I'm traveling this week, so I was going to go to AAA to get a map of where to hit certain things.
They make maps?
Oh, map. They have the thing at AAA.
Okay.
As soon as I walked in, the guy goes, Kato Kaelin, how are you? How's OJ? Is he up or down? I said, obviously he's down in the ground. So, but it was funny. And then that one guy saying it, and the place is packed. I haven't been to a AAA forever. It's jammed. It's like a A-list nightclub. And then that in turn made other people come up. And so I was doing pictures at AAA.
DMV? Are you a big star at the DMV?
No, DMV. AAA is a little different than DMV, but still. But that was, that just happened. Was it Monday? So.
All right. Did you get the map?
Nope.
Too much of a chaos.
It was too crowded.
All right. Here's a good story about Kato. I'll let him tell it. But if you haven't heard this, if you're new to the show, welcome. Where you been? Saudi Arabia, Prince, White House Correspondents' Dinner, probably circa 1996. Clinton was president, right?
Yeah, Clinton. I got invited to this to dinner. Larry King was my date. Larry King, and who's an icon. That's when CNN was amazing. So Larry became a friend and said, Kato, I want you to, Kato, you're coming to the dinner with Clinton with me. So we did that, and I was there for like 3 days. And I remember one of the dinners was just delegates of people. And I knew nothing about politics, nothing. I was just there to have fun. I wasn't Democrat. I wasn't Republican. I was there to have fun. I met every senator at these dinners. I met everybody. Everybody wanted a picture, and I was loving it. And then I got invited to this dinner with, obviously, the people were billionaires. And there was a true story. At the time, I had an entertainment lawyer who came with me. And we're at a dinner of about 25 people. And it's in D.C., probably the most famous restaurant. I don't know what it is, but it's obviously was a power-hitting place. And there were, in Saudi Arabia, there was a gentleman who, he saw people taking pictures with me. And he loved it. And I was being joking, taking salt shakers and peppers and looking like binoculars, the whole Kato stuff that's very immature but funny to me. He ends up sitting next to me at the dinner and just having fun. And by the end of a 3-hour dinner and drinks and that, he just said, he goes, I'm being serious. I will pay you $20 million if you come to Saudi Arabia and live there. And I said, yeah, sure. So my lawyer was there and he goes, I'm 100% serious. I said, talk to him. And the lawyer said he's completely serious about that. And I just, I obviously didn't know. I thought if I'm getting offered $20 million there's probably a bigger deal coming up somewhere else that I can stay in America. And I even said to him, I go, seriously, where am I going to live, in the guest tent? And I was like, instead of the guest house. And he loved it. Loved it. And who he was, I don't know. But it was, all the people, the way they were reacting of how he picked to sit next to me. It's like, sitting with Kato. But funny stuff back
that's
then.
Classic.
You kind of just go back, like
that's
know it's going to end, but I mean the popularity. But I'm the same person at that moment, joking as I would be any time in my life.
Yeah. Well, 20 million. That's the tip money for a valet.
Yeah.
For a Saudi prince, for real. I mean, I believe he was 100% serious. Why not?
Yeah,
right? Bring some joy in his life, having you hang out with him, a couple days a week. He'd be into that. You got to be grateful, though, that it didn't really truly affect you, because people can get sucked up into this and change and become different people. Yeah. And maybe it ruins their life, because then they're not able to handle it when the cameras aren't there and the adulation goes away. Yeah. They melt down. They literally cannot process the fact, because you told yourself, I was so important. Why am I not now?
Yeah.
Right. So, just the thought process for you, was there ever a point where you let any of it go to your head, or were you always able to just kind of like compartmentalize it and stay true to your roots?
Yeah, I think 100% stay true to our roots. It was, I think I brought it up before. It's always because you look at how you're raised, and I was raised in a very, not strict, but just very loving family, raised pretty Catholic, and the mom and dad always hugging and kissing each other. So I always thought that during that time of popularity, I talked to my family at least 4 times a week. My best friends I talk to every day. So that kind of makes you very humble. And I remember a quote by a guy, nothing to do with me, but back when the Celtics were amazing, Kevin McHale, and they were winning championships, and they just said he had a time where he was extremely popular. No one probably remembers Kevin McHale, but
I remember. Are you kidding? Kevin McHale is the first athlete I got an autograph from.
Yeah.
I was in probably 6th grade. He was a freshman for the University of Minnesota. I saw him before a game at Williams Arena. I ran up to him, got his autograph.
Right. Well,
he was a freshman.
He put it in perspective, one of the quotes, and it didn't relate so much to me, but it relates to fame. He just said, someone asked him about winning another championship and all. He goes, how does that not go to your head being this champion? He goes, well, my newborn daughter just pooped in her pants and I had to change the diaper, and that will make anybody humble.
Right. And Kevin McHale's a good Midwestern guy too, but that's funny.
Yeah.
That's
it's
hilarious.
true.
And
Yeah.
that processes it real quick.
He did that one line and it puts life in perspective.
Yeah. And think about, like, we're talking about the Kelces and we're talking about Taylor Swift. They don't have kids.
Yeah.
Like when you have kids, your whole life changes, right? It's not, the focus isn't just you all the time.
Well, what's her age?
She's what, 30?
At least 35, right?
35? Yeah.
I mean, she's like that. She's thinking about kids at some point, or she's one of those that's completely, all I need is my cat. I don't know, but that also plays into it. Don't you think she's at a point, being a woman, she's aware of her clock ticking, and I'm not saying good or bad that she's going to go with this, but if she's from the South, right? I don't know.
Well, she's from Pennsylvania. That's where she grew up.
She's Midwest enough. So she's thinking, am I going to have a kid with this guy? I mean, Well,
that's how most women think, right? Is this guy somebody I'm going to like settle down with and actually start a family? If not, it's a waste of time for a lot of women.
So she's thinking that, and maybe he's thinking that too. It's like, the other big news, if there's not a breakup, next big news is she's pregnant. That's what I think.
Ooh, Kato. I love it. Breaking news.
And
that makes sense.
Go in the comments. Do you think I'm right? I think that could only be the thing to prove that they're in love.
Well, here's the other thing too. It's grueling traveling and touring like she does. That's a 3-hour show, a 3.5-hour show. You're bopping all around the world. Her crew needs a break.
Right.
They got like 2 or 3 separate stages.
Rehearsals.
That one's in front of the next.
Dance.
The
Everything.
big trucks heading from city to city.
Yeah.
You would need a physical break from that. Having a baby would be the perfect thing to do. That could be the next scripted part of this relationship between Taylor and Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
All right, I can't believe how this time has flown. We've been doing this for about 45 minutes.
It's great, but we're right on the money. I think what we're saying. I think we're in our comment section. I think we think a lot like our audience thinks. I could be wrong, but I think we do.
Yeah.
And where else can it go?
Well, we're going to continue this conversation like in November and December, and we'll see. Where's that relationship gone?
Yeah.
And is everybody sick of the Kelces at this point? Have they toned it down a little bit? Did it blow up their season? We're going to follow this. I'm really looking forward to this in 2 or 3 months. You're not off the hook, though. I teased everybody. Craziest story. Kato Kaelin fame. I mean, the Saudi Arabian one's good, but you ever randomly bump into someone on the street, like an A-list star, and they go, holy shit, it's Kato, or anything like that? Or there have to be some crazy stories from the Playboy Mansion, too.
Well, I think someone that came in the news today that I met at the mansion, didn't hang out with him. I could see he didn't like me immediately. And he's a major part of the news today. And when I met him at the mansion, he's been there a few times.
Can you say who it is?
I'll just say
Can you
that
give us his initials?
Yes, I will tell you that. But when I could see that he wouldn't give me the time of day. He was like, hey, hi. He did not even a hi, which I didn't care.
Is he a scumbag?
You know what? His name's Puff Daddy.
Okay. P. Diddy. That's who I was going with.
He's in the news. So
and I think scumbag is appropriate.
It kind of makes sense that at that party, maybe what we're reading is who knows what happened at the after party. But I'm so glad I didn't have contact with him as far as there. And he was with a big posse of people that came in there and, hung out, and that was it. So, So that, I guess, was that was a good thing.
He was doing his thing back then that he's now in jail for. Who knows? You go to an after party with him. It's
and there are after parties and things people can do what they want to do. But I think if you want to go to the mansion and have an absolute ball, which I did because I went with friends, you can make it a great thing of fun, or you can go in debauchery or do whatever. I always took this thing of just making sure I was laughing my ass off, which I did every single time.
Right. That's your nature. Okay, next week, I'm going to tell you a story, and everybody watching and listening, about when I was 22 years old, went to New York City because I knew I was going to go into TV, and I wanted to meet Brian Gumbel, who was the host of the Today Show, the biggest star on TV back then, host of the Olympics. And I broke into Brian Gumbel's office. You think I was ballsy trying to get into Robert Kardashian's old house? Yeah. Wait till you hear my story at 30 Rock in New York City when I didn't really break into it, but I entered Brian Gumbel's office.
Oh,
and I'll tell you the backstory to that and the after part of it. And I have pictures.
I love it. I hope
30, this would be 35 years ago, and I have no more.
So
30-some
statute of limitations is up. You can't get arrested.
No crime was committed.
Good.
But you're going to find out how I got in there, what it led to, and it's going to be one of the craziest stories you've ever heard. And it could never happen again. It would be physically impossible to recreate this experience that I had because of how we travel now, because of flight restrictions and TSA and all kinds of things.
Wow.
So come back next week. I got a doozy of a story with photos. You're
gonna drop the photos in the show?
Absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, K-Train, gonna take a little break this week. You're heading out?
Yeah.
Hitting the mountains?
I think so. I'm hoping we'll go a little Mammoth again.
Backstory. So I've been in the magazine business too, right? And I do a lot of travel feature writing. So I've been traveling all over great places. And Kato knows I do this. And I said, and Kato told me he's going to Mammoth. I said, I got you. But I think maybe the way I work isn't ideal for everybody because Kato's leaving in 5 days and I haven't told him exactly where he's going. But you're going somewhere. I got you hooked up.
You heard it here. So otherwise I'm going to be calling Tom. I hope I hear before this week, like soon. Tom will say, you're all set. This is where you drive. I just want to be driving and going, Kato, turn the car around. Tom, I can't. I'm here already.
Okay, for people who have been watching this show long enough, you know us. 5 days away from Kato's trip. Am I going to have a good spot for him to go to? Or is he going to have to go to plan B or C? I want to know everybody's opinion.
There is no plan B or C, people. It's that or sleeping in the car.
All right, Kato, let's remind everybody, this episodes, you got to listen to them on audio as well. Spreaker's our new home for audio. Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Wondery.
How do you spell Spreaker?
Spreaker. But go to your normal platforms. Go to Apple. Go to Spotify. Yeah. Nothing changes there. But, man, it's just great to have a good audio partner like we do. Give us your comments. Like and subscribe to the show. Watch for us. We're launching a new channel just with clips, highlights of all our shows. So we'll drive you in that direction next week. We'll tell you exactly where to go. Follow us on our community page because all the announcements are there. And keep rolling. Let's go. Get into our archive. Watch some of these old shows. Bernie Madoff. I mean, that was a great episode. Yeah. If you've missed that one, get your butt back there and watch it.
Oh, it's great. Jim Campbell's fantastic. That story. And by the way, the Netflix show, like I said, I watched it in one sitting. I just kept watching him. He's great in that show. All of our shows are just fantastic.
All right.
I love them all.
Yep. So get into our archive and check them out.
And you know what, Tom? We should ask them also. Do you like it when Tom and I just are together and just rapping what's going on in the world today? I kind of love it.
I do too. And you know what? This show's here for the long haul, ladies and gentlemen. And we have to rely on things like this too.
Yeah.
Because your personality, our backgrounds, the things that are going on in the world that we can comment on. And we want to give you a break from the craziness in this world because there's a lot of it out there. The world's not as bad as it's portrayed in the media. Now it's bad. There's issues. There's problems.
Right.
Okay. November's a big time, especially here in LA with our district attorney vote, you know, with that election coming up. That changes life in LA.
Yeah.
If we get a DA that actually enforces the laws. I mean, that will change life here. You know, I have friends that visit. And, you know, LA, you think is falling into the pit. And here's the other thing that people that leave LA talk shit about it.
Yeah.
Right. They want to justify the fact that they miss it because you can't leave LA and not miss it.
Right.
You know, the rest of the country is great, but it's not LA. So then they'll tell everybody, oh, it's horrible. It's horrible. It's not as bad as it seems. But, you know, if we can be a break and a release during your week, we're happy to do it.
Have you tried parking at the studio? It's bad here.
It was bad today.
Yeah.
Note to self, no more taping on street sweeping days, right?
Yeah, street sweeping.
That's a hassle.
That's another thing in LA, street sweeping.
All right, thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you follow us on social media. You know what to do. For the one and only Kato Kaelin.
Hello. I'm
Tom Zenner. Tom Zenner Scandal. We will see you next week. Hey there, I'm Tom Zenner, and if you're a fan of true crime and pop culture scandal, I think you are, well, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Give us a like, because trust me, the drama is just starting to heat up. Follow me on social media at Tom Zenner, and keep coming back to the channel, and we're going to keep bringing you the scandal every single day. New content. Thanks for watching.